With the Texans, though, I don't know. I mean, their offense, they've played the Colts, the Bears, and now the Vikings. Right, the Colts and the Bears, I think you might not agree. I hope you would, but are bottom tier NFL teams at this point.
Yeah, but the top tier defenses.
I wouldn't say
You don't think
so.
Chicago's in the top
Not
15?
a top tier.
They're not.
I think
top 15. I
guess
wouldn't
top
consider
15
top
maybe.
tier. That's
Okay,
top
fair.
half.
Top half.
Middling
I would
defenses.
say they're middle of the pack. Yeah.
I expected them to be better this year.
But the
They're
Colts,
actually,
I mean, the Colts defenses look just porous this year.
Malik Willis, looking nice.
He's looking nice.
Looking better than last week now that he knew he was going to be starting this week.
I wouldn't even say it was necessarily looking better than last week. He was incorporated into the actual passing game this week. But it was that's what I was getting with LaFleur. It's like his like the way he sculpts the offense around what he's given is something the Packers have never really seen. McCarthy sure as crap didn't do that. Yeah, it's the biggest thing that's impressed me with this Packers team this year is just simply the defense, though. It was Jeff Hafley has made such a huge, like switching that defense to a more of a typical 4-3 cover 2, really cover 1 with only having one deep safety. That's his college style. He hasn't incorporated that as much. But, I mean, this point in the season, I mean, there's some bias with this. Xavier McKinney's been the greatest acquisition in the offseason.
It is how I felt like that game was going.
This wasn't a 3-point game.
No, it was definitely not
absolutely
a 3-point
not.
game.
The Ravens tried to give it away, but
You know what Dak says to that? Jump off. Did you hear that? Did you see that?
I heard that.
Did you see that? He was like, jump off then. Blah, blah, blah.
His caliber. The dude's loaded with potential. Nobody's going to argue that.
100%. No, he's got
But
the
it's
skill.
like, I don't know if he's too much in his mind and if he's trying to be too much. I don't know. I have a joke in one of my group threads that he's just too zesty.
Yeah.
He's just a zesty fella.
What's our Jordan Love update?
We don't have much. So
Perfect.
LaFleur came out today and said that they're doing everything they can to get him to play this week. It's obviously a huge game, but it was he started practicing in limited participation last week. He started yesterday's practice as limited participation. Now we don't know what that means. That could mean that he's actually on the field studying, like going over reps with the team. They're not going to release that. There's no media coverage on that aspect of it. So we'll see. I mean, it looks like all signs are pointed towards him playing.
Get laced up.
Let's go.
It's time for Banter with the boys.
Yo, welcome back to Banter with the Boys. Gridiron updates week 4. That means we're recapping our week 3 games and previewing some week 4 games. But before we do all that, obviously we got to bring in our co-host over here, Rob.
What's up, Smeltzy? How's it going?
Man, have you enjoyed that weather this week or not?
It was money. I ended up hitting up the Gophers game, little tailgate for 5 hours. Can't complain.
Yeah, but you did a lot for
Yeah. And then the home
Not
team
much.
on the professional side, sitting at 3-0, so vibes are good.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
Don't you worry.
yeah.
Don't you worry.
Life's good.
Life is good. Life is good. Right next to him, making his first appearance on the show, we have Mike.
correct. Yes. Good job. You remembered. Yeah.
Mark
All
it up on the
right.
screen.
All right.
Yeah.
Mike, why don't you just give us a little rundown of your football history, how long you've been watching it, all that jazz.
Well, I became a Colts fan early on. So when I was a teenager, so I'm pretty old now. So a lot of years, 20 plus years as a Colts fan. So seeing the Super Bowl with Peyton, and that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, we don't know what that's
I
like.
can explain that to you.
Yeah.
He can help explain that to you.
Oh,
you know?
no, come on.
This is just introductions.
Yeah. So
Simmer down.
yeah, met Rob at Fantasy Football, and we've
Sure.
been doing that for 15, 20 years now, and so just longtime Colts fan.
So you're Rob's friend or acquaintance or
Let's call it acquaintance now.
yeah.
There we go. Mark it down.
No, we're friends.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that out loud. But and then right next to me, an OG of Banter with the Boys. Please welcome back Tyler. Tyler, what is poppin', dude?
Glad to be back, man. Making it work, having the another kiddo. It's a lot. It's a lot, but I'm glad to be here, man. Glad to wear the Packer colors on the pod again.
Yeah.
Well, I was just about to say we're hoping we see you more as the season goes on, but yeah.
Like more falling down the standings.
Ooh, I like that. I'm just not a fan of. Well, I can't say I'm not a fan of the green because you went military green today.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, never mind. Move on. And also don't forget Kev. Kev makes this whole thing happen behind the camera. You do not see him. But let's start right off the bat with our 5-game recap. And we are absolutely going to start with the Vikings. The Vikings game this week, which I was lucky enough to be at. Only a couple rows off the field, a handful of rows off the field. It was awesome.
I bet the vibe had been awesome.
Oh, my gosh. It was rocking. All of us different fans were buying each other drinks. Don't even know who they are. That's just the Minnesota way.
I like it.
We were just partying all game. It was louder than heck. 3 straight false starts by the Texans. Still excited. Rob, why don't you
it was
read us in
solid.
here?
You know, we had that interception, that first drive, put some points on the board. You know, we ended
First
up
offensive play for the Texans, wasn't it? Or did they run it first? I can't remember, but it was.
Yeah, they ran it first, and it was a second. Well, actually, it was a completion to Collins, but there was a flag.
Yeah,
and then the next.
There's the next play. Yeah,
the next play. So, yeah, it feels good to be 3-0 on top of the division. Not really expecting us to have that hot of a start with our schedule. Just looking at it preseason wise,
I thought we'd be 1-2.
Yeah, but now looking forward, we have a really nice middle section of our schedule. Vibes are good right now.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw a great game, not only from Sam Darnold and the offense, but that defense just absolutely ate up the Texans. I mean, there's nothing they could do. Once again, another example of the Texans missing that rushing game.
Oh, yeah, Joe Mixon was mentioned last week, man. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, the Vikings defense with 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and so that's a really nice start. They're up 14-0 at a half. So it's always, when you're starting off a game like that and then you're playing from, ahead, and then you go out and establish the running game a little over 4 yards a carry. So keeping the Texans to 4 for 14 on third downs, 11 total penalties. So, yeah, it's an overall solid game out of the Vikes.
Yeah, absolutely. Did either of you fellas happen to catch any of the best team in the league, the Vikings and Texans game?
I was able to. I had the quad box on, so that was one of the one of the games on there.
Quad box
Sunday ticket.
Oh, okay.
Sunday ticket. Yeah. So, what's impressed me most about this Viking team so far is just their defense. Flores has definitely made an impact, as I expected him to. But they spent some money in the offseason on the defensive side of the ball. That's turning out to be huge. And then with Sam Darnold, the KOC system, right? It's the McVay system, however you want to say it. Everybody's a staple of it at this point.
I think Shanahan.
Originally, it was Shanahan.
Who's the original of all the original?
Shanahan. It was Mike Shanahan.
Yeah,
it was Kyle's pops, and they were all in like Sean, Little, Shanahan, and LaFleur were all on the same Redskins team back when it was the Redskins.
And Zach Taylor, I think.
And Zach Taylor. Yep. Under Mike as it,
NFL coaches right now.
Look where it's going. And now McVay has a tree, right? That's just crazy. Yep. But you don't need a star quarterback to run that system. You need somebody that's not going to turn the ball over and hit the receiver when they're open, because they are open. That system just creates openings. Mm-hmm. It's insane how often you just have somebody that has 3 yards of separation consistently in that system. Just wild. So you need somebody that's just going to not turn the ball over and hit the open receiver. And having Aaron Jones as a compliment now is huge.
Oh, yeah. It's
right.
completely
it's
different from last year's team running.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. They couldn't do anything in the rushing game with Madison at all. He's, again, not doing much this year. So, yeah, had to move on from Aaron Jones with 102 yards. Can't complain there. He even had a receiving touchdown. Yeah. Sam Darnold threw for 4 touchdowns to four different receivers, though. That's what I'm most excited about. Yeah, 4 different receivers.
The ball around.
One of them being Aaron Jones, but I just love to see that he's spreading it out. He was targeting JJ early, but then everybody else started getting involved. Jalen Naylor, Johnny Munt got a touchdown, right? You know what I mean?
That's that system.
Yeah,
that system.
For sure.
It's like you can't just focus on one person. Like for the system to thrive, everybody has to eat, even if it's just those little dink and dunk 4-yard completions to that no name. I'm not saying Johnny Munt's a no name because he's turned into with Hawkinson going down.
Best third tight end in the league.
Yeah, right. Right. So he's a no name outside of our listeners, right? Yeah. But it's that system just allows everybody to eat. You're seeing it. We'll get to it later, but you're seeing that with the LaFleur offense right now too. But it's the Vikings have definitely impressed.
And when you have a complementary defense to that dink and dunk game, it doesn't matter. You don't have to go for the home run every time, and that's what we're seeing. We don't have to talk about the Vikings too long because Rob and I are here all season to talk about the Vikings, of course. But real quick before we move on to the Packers, Packers. Sorry,
keeps happening.
Keeps happening. I don't know what's going on. Is this a fluke for the Texans? I mean, you're walking into a tough environment. It was very loud there. It's the second loudest game at US Bank Stadium, behind like a Viking Packer game. Is this just a fluke for the Texans, or is there
Did
more
the
to
Colts play
fix?
them earlier?
The
This year?
Texans, the Colts
so-
already played the Texans, and I think the biggest difference I saw between the two games was Flores brought 15 blitzes against CJ Stroud, and he got home with those. He
Yep.
timed them perfectly. It seemed like they all worked. He was either rushed or sacked on those blitzes, and it really got to him. Stroud had the second worst performance of his career, and it's an early career, but
For sure.
you know,
Didn't see it coming, though.
Correct.
No.
He hadn't been flustered like that in his year plus so far, and so that was the big thing that I saw was Flores really got to him, and Slowick, the Houston offensive coordinator, just did not do him any favors getting him short second or third downs. He just kept running the ball, kept getting 2 yards on first down, and putting him in a bad position. So I think the offensive coordinator there will adjust, and we'll see a better CJ Stroud, but it's definitely a way to get to him.
They got to get something going with their rushing game.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just put it all on CJ. And
Yeah.
when Cam Akers is your
absolutely
number one
That's
back
back
right
to
now,
Joe Mixon. Him not being there
Yeah,
is
that's
they're a
huge.
different team.
it's huge. And
Is he
I
supposed to
mean,
be back this week?
Hi, God.
He right now he's probable. I don't think that's an actual designation anymore, but it sounds like he's
Questionable
it
as of
sounds like
today.
he's probable for this week.
with the Texans, though, I don't know. I mean, their offense, they've played the Colts, the Bears, and now the Vikings. Right, the Colts and the Bears. I think you might not agree. I hope you would, but are bottom tier NFL teams at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, but top tier defenses.
I wouldn't say
You don't think
so.
Chicago's in the top
Not a
15?
top tier.
They're not.
Oh, I think-
top
I mean,
15.
I
I,
guess
wouldn't
top
consider
15.
top tier. That's
Okay,
top
fair.
half.
Top half.
Middling
I
defense.
would say they're middle of the pack. Yeah,
I expected
but,
them to be better this year.
But the
They're
Colts,
actually-
I mean, the Colts defenses look just porous this year.
Oh, Buckner out now.
That kills them.
Most rush yards given up in the first
Yeah.
2 games. So
I mean, when you got
not a good defense right now.
So Jacksonville, if you're listening, you got to bring the pressure next week, and hey, you might beat the Texans.
That's the
Probably not,
I don't
but
know about Jacksonville.
probably not.
They need
but-
to
they got to
score
get
some
they got to
points.
get Lawrence back on track.
They made
Yeah.
the Bills look like the best team the NFL's ever seen.
No doubt, no doubt. Speaking of getting on track, Malik Willis looking nice.
He's looking nice. and
Looking better than last week. Now that he knew he was going to be starting this week.
I wouldn't even say it was necessarily looking better than last week. He was incorporated into the actual passing game this week. But it was
Sure.
that's what I was getting with LaFleur. It's like his like the way he sculpts the offense around what he's given is something the Packers have never really seen. McCarthy sure as crap didn't do that. So it's just crazy watching him because like with Malik's this last game, they were all basically like intermediate to longer routes is where Willis excels. He's not that dink and dunk. He's not going to hit that that 5-yard in route
He's an aggressive
consistently.
thrower, yeah.
He's his deepest or his best trait is his deep ball. Now he didn't launch any down the field, but that's a lot to ask for of him. But
then he's got his legs.
But then
And
they started off
that's
with a
the
bubble
thing.
screen to start the game.
well, yeah.
Get
But it was-
confidence in him.
But
Get
that's
confidence.
also you want to
yeah.
hit those quick routes.
Well, the first
and-
2 passes of the game are actually passes.
Yeah, and then he had that, the 40, the crosser to Jaden Reed that he went down.
No, sorry. The first 2 passes of the game were actually passes. Well, yeah, I would hope.
Well,
That
but you
completely-
would think they would have put that on Willis to start the game. You think,
Right.
especially with Jacobs' performance last week. You
But
figure,
I like it though. Get him that confidence. Get a couple quick
Yeah,
small
I'm not-
completions. Then get Jacobs involved. Now you got Malik who can extend the play with his legs, or
It's-
even make the play with his legs.
I just think it was a good game plan because I think obviously the other team was planning on them to run the ball, so they came out and passed the first couple downs.
For sure.
So
Yeah, it's the biggest thing that's impressed me with this Packers team this year is just simply the defense, though. It was Jeff Hafley has made such a huge, like switching that defense to a more of a typical 4-3, cover 2, really cover 1 with only having one deep safety. That's his college style. He hasn't incorporated that as much. But, I mean, this point in the season, I mean, there's some bias with this. Xavier McKinney's been the greatest acquisition in the offseason.
yeah, other than the Philly game getting ran up 30 points, the next 2 games they've been looking a lot better.
But so for me,
That's the beginning of the
for me
season,
that,
first
well,
game,
plus,
yeah.
and
First-
the field condition was
It was
horrible.
so
The
bad.
travel was horrible. Now, can I sit here and make all these excuses?
are.
Of course, for the Packers of all people. But I mean, that was a great game. To
It
me,
was a great
To
game.
me, that showed a lot about who this Packer team actually is capable of being this season right off the rip.
I know I have predicted them to lose the last 2 weeks with Willis under quarterback.
For us to be sitting at 2-1 with or 2-0 within Love's absence is crazy to me. But
0-1 with Jordan Love this year.
So the biggest thing with that week 1 game and watching that defense, it was like the field conditions were bad. They were bad for both teams. The travel was bad for both teams.
Correct.
We didn't tackle any ball carrier. Everything was arm tackling. There was no gang tackling. They were just giving up on tackling.
Barkley went off that game.
That has been fixed the last 2 games. You could tell that there was some fire lit in that defense. They've been way more physical the last 2 games, and they've been, getting to that ball carrier. It was, for Jalen Hurts, big quarterback, big guy, but for him to carry 2 people for 4 yards to get a first down on that, I believe it was the second to last drive of that game where it put Philly ahead.
Yep.
Like, you should not have that as a defensive player. Like, I don't care who the quarterback is. You should not be dragging 2 players 4 yards in the most crucial point of the game on a 3rd down stop.
Yeah.
Like, and that is what seems to be the difference to me the last 2 games in the defense.
Yep.
And they're just getting after the ball.
Big test coming up this week, so, for the defense. It's the prove it, I guess. That
Oh, we'll touch on that later, but I think I think it's a great test for both teams. Honestly,
for sure,
even though the Vikings arguably have been tested the last 2 weeks straight, but I don't know. We'll get to it. Titans probably right there next to the Panthers is the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just a complete dumpster fire right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Titans fans. If there's a Titans fan out there that wants to come on and tell us what they need to do to fix their woes,
I think they need to
you know
get
where to hit
Malik
us
Willis
up.
back.
You know where to hit us up. What's up?
I think they need to get Malik Willis back.
Yeah.
As a Colts fan, you like seeing the Titans not doing anything.
Yeah, I'd rather have him have Will Levis. He had that great first game, and now he's looked pretty atrocious.
Yep. So
Yeah, this week was bad.
Yeah.
This was a really bad week for him.
The crazy thing is it wasn't as bad as last week.
Yeah, I know.
He completed 26 of 34. Like, if you look at just
that pick 6 at the end of the first quarter, it totally flipped the whole game.
Yeah.
So right there, that game was totally different.
The craziest thing too is we had 8 sacks. I can never remember a time when the Packers had 6 in a game, let alone 8 sacks. And Will Levis is a mobile quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that's wild. The other biggest stat to me is we have 7 interceptions this year.
Yep. Yeah,
that's what we had all of last
week. Yep.
We had 7 interceptions as a whole last year, and we have that through 3 games.
And you called it, for those that are just joining us, Tyler hosted our whole season last year. And like you said, all last season, you needed to get a new DC, need to get him out of here, get somebody, whoever in place.
I didn't care who at that point.
And when they hired this guy, you were like, okay. Like, I don't know who he is yet, but okay.
A warm body in.
But he seems to be making a massive difference already. Again, arguably a tough NFC North.
It is.
I mean,
a good one.
Yeah, it's shaping up.
Looking like a 3-team race right now. That's for sure.
Absolutely. But moving right along, let's hop right into the Ravens traveling to Dallas. Excuse me. Dallas looking like they were gonna take this one. And
when?
Boyd.
No.
I'm sorry.
Oh, the way around.
Oh, yeah. My bad. Well, no, look, wasn't Dallas leading though?
No.
They never led this game?
Ravens were ahead, and Dallas put on.
Ravens are up 21-6.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dallas.
So, yeah, 21
okay,
points,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
totally getting that backwards. Must have been Derrick Henry's running that just confused me.
Yeah,
Messed me up.
Probably was.
But we finally saw King Henry this week.
Yeah.
About
the
time.
Ravens had 191 yards, like 11 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah, dude, it was
rushing.
insane.
That's how much they dominated them throughout the whole game.
I think after this week, the Cowboys are now the only team have let more rushing yards than the Colts. And when you give up 255 to a team, it's pretty easy to do that. But yeah, the Cowboys' rush defense was trashed, and 75% of the plays that the Ravens ran were runs.
Oh yeah,
Right,
Lamar got
right.
involved.
You can't. That's not a formula to win an NFL game unless you're getting 5, 6, 7 yards a pop. And they were, so they just kept doing it.
Why stop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prove
Like
you
the-
can stop us.
It's like the Packers against the Colts. Why stop?
Yeah.
That game was like the Vikings 49ers game where it should have been more of a blowout than it ended up being. It is how I felt like that game was going.
This wasn't a 3-point game.
No, it was
No,
definitely not a
absolutely
three-point
not.
The
Absolutely
Ravens
not.
tried to give it away, but
You know what Dak says to that? Jump off. Did you hear
Jump
that?
off.
Did you
Yeah,
see
I
that?
heard that.
Did you see that? He was like, jump off then. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-mm.
But they
And then-
can't run the ball. That's what's just killing that offense right
100%.
now. And then the defense is on the field too long.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
that's
defense
not
is-
winning football.
It's
CD
not.
only had 67 yards. Like, you got to get him way
Yeah,
more
he
involved.
was all frustrated about that. What's cool about CD is after the game, obviously frustrating game, he was still outside signing autographs before he hopped in his Lambo. I think it was the Lambo SUV.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Got
I
that
can't
new
remember
check,
what that's called. But,
might as well spend some of it.
yeah. But I thought it was cool. He's taking a picture with people. As soon as the picture's done, he's cheesing and then back to like, probably upset, obviously, that they lost that one.
Yeah.
But what do we need? I was gonna say, what do we need to see from Dallas? Jerry Jones went to the locker room after the game. Who knows what he said?
Yeah.
But you got Jerry coming down there to the locker room. I wonder if is that a thing? You think the players respect that at all, or they're like?
Well, he's been doing it like that the whole time, so I don't think it's anything new. I mean, they need Emmitt Smith back, is what they really need.
They need what?
Emmitt Smith back.
They need that line.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
They just can't run the ball. So that's and their defense, like Parsons, he's still hustling out. Watching the tape and over him, he's still flying. But a lot of arm tackles on defense, a lot of business decisions going on. So they don't look like a fired up team right now.
If the Cowboys defense isn't getting turnovers, they're not a good defense.
That's
true. What their whole defense is based off of.
True.
Like when Trayvon had his
nuts.
10.
When he was
10?
going crazy, the defense everybody wanted to talk about their defense. That was a great point.
They were a top 5 defense in the league.
Well, because they get up and then they just pin their ears back and attack, and then they just sit in their little zone and be aggressive on the ball.
And if you give Dak Prescott a lead, you're usually fine. Unless you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you're usually fine.
It's hard. It's just hard getting the lead in the playoffs.
Yeah, they don't really get the lead in the playoffs. Sorry,
Brandon Cooks isn't really doing enough for them as their second receiver right now either. So, I mean, they're just bracketing CD all day long. Yeah. Ferguson had a decent little game today, but
yeah, I mean, even decent game. He had 95 yards on 6 catches, but he had 11 targets.
Exactly.
It's 5 balls he's not catching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 51 attempts for Dak too.
It's a lot of attempts.
I mean, that means we know we can't run the ball. We know that. So now we have to. You know what I mean? Compared to the other side, Lamar only throwing it 15, but he did run it for 14. So that that kind of makes up at least part of it. We'll go with 7. But how about the Ravens though? Real quick, 1 and 2. It's kind of a surprise to me, but they've kind of been in. They were really in that Chiefs game, right?
Yeah.
And then who did they play before that?
Raiders.
That was
the Raiders. I think was a fluke game.
I think so.
It was a trap game.
I think so too. And Derrick Henry didn't look like himself at all. Now, can Derrick Henry repeat this next week? We'll see. Obviously, we'd like him to. I'd like him to. I don't have him in fantasy by any means, but they got a tough one coming up against Buffalo. That's a prove-it game for the Ravens against a Buffalo team that looks pretty darn good right now.
Because then they fall to 1 and 3 if they lose that game.
That's tough.
And then travel to Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati did not look good.
But still, you never know. I mean, the unders went 9 and 5 this week. So currently, like it's early still football. Everyone's still trying to find their identity. So that's why I think some of these teams are, completely changing. Like the Commanders, there was a couple other teams that really you're like the Panthers,
Well, look at the undefeated teams right now. The Vikings, no way you've seen them going 3-0 right now. The Seahawks, I don't know who they played. No way they went 3-0. And who's the other one?
Steelers and the Bills.
Steelers.
Yeah, Steelers.
Justin Fields.
Yeah,
undefeated.
Steelers surprised me. Yeah.
Come on.
How's it feel to be a Bears fan right now watching?
My God.
That's the one great thing about the Ravens in their favor though is the AFC North's trash this year. The Steelers are not a 3-0 team.
No.
The Bengals
their offense is not a 3-0 team. I like the Steelers defense.
Their defense is always going to be but the Bengals are who the heck knows, and then the Browns. They look terrible.
Which is crazy because we were, in our preseason show, we were talking up the AFC North. I feel like most people would on paper. It should be a great division. It should be close. Last year was insane.
Mm-hmm. All 4 teams were on above 500 in that division.
And I kind of expected to see a repeat of that. And it is not trending that way.
No, it is not.
Not trending that way.
What a great football mind this table is.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Keep listening to us. Here we go. Let's head right into the Bears traveling to Indianapolis. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and let you take this away. Not only do I want to know your opinion on the game, but let us know, since you weren't here for any of the previous weeks, let us know what you're kind of looking for from the Colts this season, now knowing some of the injuries that have happened, But start with that game.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is a year ago when Anthony Richardson was drafted, everyone's super excited.
All excitement.
the ceiling is pretty high, and there's no limit to how high he can go on this. And watching him play yesterday was not a franchise quarterback. Can't hit the short throws, can't hit the ones that you have to hit, the 4-yard outs. Anything below 10 yards, he is just so inaccurate. I think it was 52% for the game.
Yep.
Do
But
you think it's the speed of the game? Do you think he's still a little bit timid with the injury from last year? What
I
you know
think
what I mean? I'm not questioning anybody's
no,
manhood
absolutely.
by any means, you know what I mean?
I think
But
it's
I'm
an
just-
experience. After watching the Monday night game, Jaden Daniels played 55 games in college. 55.
That's a lot.
Sure.
That's so many games.
Yeah.
And they were like high
And-
profile games.
Yeah,
He
he's
played in
playing
the
for
big stage.
LSU. Yeah.
And
And Anthony Richardson, I don't know the exact number, but he's played less than 20 games in the last 3
Sure.
years.
Oh, yeah.
It's so little. And so that was the big risk with him, was he doesn't have the experience. So I think part of me is still, hey, he just needs to get out there, learn the speed of the game, get some throws in against some real defenses, take some hits. Obviously the injury last year, like huge disappointment, missing out on
For sure.
another season, only playing 3 games last year.
Yeah, that's a lot of experience. to not
And
have.
so, yeah, it's like I watched Jaden Daniels. I'm like, that's who I want Anthony Richardson to be. And he's had 55 games of college experience. Anthony Richardson's got to catch up to that now. So excited about the defense. Latu Latu, strip sack fumble. Super exciting to see where his potential can go. I think he's going to be the edge rusher that the Colts have been missing since I'll go back to Dwight Freeney, probably Robert Mathis. You know,
okay.
All right.
I'm not saying he's going to be that good. I'm just saying we haven't had
Hoping.
anyone since
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I
Fair
mean,
enough.
if he turns into either of those players, amazing. That's super exciting to see. Jonathan Taylor's back. 200
Running
yards.
He's been a
Yep.
stud.
Yep, 200-yard games in a row. Last time he did that was during the MVP season.
Do you have him in fantasy?
I do not have him in fantasy now.
Wah, wah.
Our league is cutthroat. I don't even think he was up for bid this year.
No,
was he
yeah, he
now?
was a keeper.
Yeah, I heard you
we
guys
got-
were talking smack before.
Oh, yeah. We
before
played
the
that
potty.
too, yeah.
One of us won the week 2
Yeah.
game. Woo, woo. So
We'll see how your picks go this week.
that is true. I'm excited to pick. But yeah, I think it's, this is going to be, I thought this season could be a 9 to 10 win season if everything turned out right. The 0-2 start obviously puts a big damper on that, but we've still got a lot of young players and a lot of excitement. And I think we can compete for the wild card this year is probably our top end, but just getting Anthony Richardson the experience is huge.
100%. I mean, and now of course I clicked off the page, but I'm pretty sure he went 10 for 20 passing and then another 8 rushes. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
it's not enough.
You're putting the ball in his hands. He's got to do something with it. The 8 rushes he only garnered, I believe it was 24 yards. Like, come on. It's got to be something if you're not going to throw the darn ball.
And he even said that at the end of the game, hey, if I'm not throwing it correctly, they talked about him pushing the running back into the end zone, calling out some blitzers that were coming for Jonathan Taylor. Taylor said, hey, AR is helping me out on those. But yeah, he's got to throw the ball because you can't hand it off and become a one-dimensional defense or one-dimensional offense unless you're playing the Cowboys. Then you can.
Or unless your defense is really, really good, and you can just,
Our
punt it and
defense
play
is not
field
that good.
position. Yeah.
And we're
Or
about
if you're
to-
playing the Colts.
Yeah.
Or if you're
Oh, dang. But the
Yeah.
Colts do got a big test this week. We'll touch on that later.
Yeah,
but
big game.
big game this week for the Colts. On the Bears side of things, that's a disappointment. If I'm a
Yuck.
Bears fan, now you're seeing Caleb start taking better steps though.
Are you?
Better. I am, and I want to hear your piece on this because I've been curious for a hot minute
Okay.
about Caleb Williams in general. But just I don't know. I think this is going to be crazy, but I feel like he's maturing a little bit. How he's seeing the game and realizing it, and how he's answering these questions at the end of the game. You can see some growth there, even in the first couple
I'll
weeks.
give you that. I'll give you that.
And I mean, the guy still went 33 for 52, that's a lot of throwing. For 363, 2 tuds and 2 picks. 2 picks were ugly again, but I don't know. I feel like he's improving at least a little bit. Who do they got next week? And then I want to hear you go off on Caleb Williams because that was a pretty ugly face. They got the Rams, who just pulled a crazy one out themselves
Yeah,
this
they
week.
did.
So
No receivers.
with no with no
or
receiver
tackles.
or any just
that team is decimated.
That was a
both
that was a
teams
crazy
were.
that was a crazy game. But Caleb Williams, what's
Let's
your
hear
take right
Let's
now?
hear it.
Yeah,
3 weeks in.
With
Be on
Caleb,
Team Rob.
I would agree with you that he has matured just in the fact that he's not trying to run around like he was in the Pac-12. He's actually trying to like set his feet, look for that receiver, not try to be Superman. No, that's in one game.
Sure,
but
right,
it's he. For one, you can't ask a rookie quarterback to throw 52 times a game and win a game. That's just not a recipe for success in the NFL. But Caleb has looked pretty porous. He's looked really, really bad. I mean, you can't make an excuse for talent. He has DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison were all in consideration for the first receiver drafted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Rome came out, had a game, 112 yards on 6 receptions. He proved why he was worthy of that draft stock, but Caleb hasn't. He looks like he's still playing college football.
Yeah, he does.
I mean,
You're not playing in the Pac-12, bud.
No.
Yeah,
this is
for
NFL
sure.
football. You're not
For
going to
sure.
outrun edge defenders in the NFL. You're not going to outrun a lot of D tackles in the NFL.
And it's tough to prove that number 1 overall pick because also I would say that Trevor Lawrence hasn't shown me enough to
Bryce
be
Young,
that
Trevor
number-
Lawrence.
Bryce Young, another one, yeah. So I hear you on that front.
But it's just crazy watching like him process, right? He seems to be processing the offense correctly. He's missing throws you don't miss with his caliber. The dude's loaded with potential. Nobody's going to argue that.
100%. No, he's got
But
the
it's
skill.
like I don't know if he's too much in his mind and if he's trying to be too much. I don't know. I have a joke in one of my group threads that he's just too zesty.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah,
He's just
yeah.
a zesty fella. So I don't know if it's like I don't know, man. You look at his just demeanor on the sideline, right? It's like there's the
like he's gonna
side by
cry,
sides
yeah.
with like him and Justin Fields, and it's just
He's
like
looked
the
like
look
that
of a
for a
Bears
few years.
quarterback. But he hasn't. Like when he was in UFC, he had the energy, he had the passion. That does not seem to be there.
His last year there was different, but yeah.
And I think
Definitely
that
more
might-
energy.
I think that might be a part of it. Like his last year, he's coming off winning the Heisman. He's on top of the world. He's the number 1 college quarterback. He would have been the number 1 quarterback drafted that year. So I don't know
yeah,
if that just got
sure.
to his head and he can't get it out of it or what. Because I love to see it. I'm a
Yeah.
Packers fan. The Bears are the
Yeah.
biggest rival we have. Sorry, Vikings
He
fans.
just wants
but
to be Patrick Mahomes too much for me. He wants to dance. I watched the all 22 on it. I wanted to see all his receivers he missed, and he missed a ton constantly. He was first read, eyes down, or scrambling, but the offensive lineman's actually not helping him at all.
No.
They're rushing 2.3 average yards per carry. So that's almost like the Dallas scenario right now. It's all on his shoulder. So I'll give him a little bit of break there. But, you know, when you draft a top receiver like that in a second pick, do you think an offensive tackle or an offensive guard would have looked real nice there instead? You already had Allen and Moore. So would that be a difference maker right there? So, yeah, Rome had a nice game, but he also chucked the ball 52 times. So I don't know. I'm still he's processing at the line a little faster, but he's still missing reads all over the place and throws.
and that's the same thing with Rome. Like, yeah, he had a good game, 112 on 6 catches, targeted 11 times.
Yeah. And he had like a
So
50-yarder one of them. So so his other 5 catches were 70 yards.
Exactly. So it's I don't know, man. It's you're right. The lack of run game is you need that as a rookie quarterback,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You can't like
Everyone
look
in
at
the NFL needs it.
look at
Dak
Malik
needs it.
Willis.
Yeah,
Like
right.
you look at Malik Willis, he ain't doing anything he's doing in the air if the Packers aren't running like they are.
Agreed,
For
agreed.
sure. I
But
agree.
it's and the thing with like the drafting a tackle, they did that last year. They got a right and a left tackle the last 2 years with Darnell Wright, and I think it's Braxton Jones. But they spent their draft capital on that the last 2 years, and they've proven to be they have potential.
So where's the running game then?
That sucks because DeAndre Swift's on my fantasy team.
Yeah. He's almost droppable at this point.
I started Jaleel McLaughlin over him.
There
Right
we go.
before we move on, the Bears have arguably 4 games as opportunity coming up. They play LA at home, the Rams, LA at home this week. That could be tough from what we've seen somehow this year from the Rams.
Tough to beat.
Carolina at home, Jacksonville at home. That's 3 straight home games in a row for the Bears. So they need to take advantage of those opportunities for sure. Then they go on bye, and then they travel to Washington. Yeah, we saw Washington play a heck of a game last night, honestly.
Yeah.
But,
Really good.
you know, if the Bears defense is that good, that's a winnable game for them. So I think they got
They'll
to
be in that game.
they got to at least go
Yeah.
2-2 in those games, and those 2 wins better be Carolina and Jacksonville.
If they want to
But-
get back into it, they need to go 3-1. They need
Yeah,
to take the two
yeah.
easy wins.
Agreed.
And I'm excited for that Bears Washington game. I mean,
Yeah, I think
top
that'd be a
two
great
picks.
game. Yeah.
Nothing more exciting than watching the dude that got picked ahead of you
Yep.
play against you. Jaden
Yeah.
McDaniels is going to be on fire for that game, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, at this point, though, the Bears, they're not fighting for anything. They got 6 games against arguably the toughest division in the league in the NFC North.
Yeah.
That's 6 losses at this point. Nobody's going to expect them to come close to competing with the division.
They're gonna beat either
So
the
they're already at
Lions.
8 losses?
I mean, they could beat
I
one.
don't know.
They could win
Their
one
defense
of
will
those
keep them
5.
in a bunch of games.
But
Don't the Vikings always manage to lose
whoop,
at
moving
Chicago?
on. Whoops. Mike
We'll
coming in
edit
here.
that out real quick.
Mike coming in here thinking he can talk about whatever he wants. Okay. Anyway, last game to recap
Come on,
really
this is a
quick.
script here.
Yeah, come on.
Sorry, I got off script there. Is my
Sorry.
microphone,
Skull Fikes,
my
Boo
microphone
Pack.
still working?
But anyway, real quick, last game to recap. Kind of an interesting one. Eagles in New Orleans. Eagles pull that thing off, 15-12. That was kind of an ugly one for
Very
the Eagles,
ugly.
I would
Very
say.
3-0 at half.
I think for the Saints, I
boring
feel.
game.
Yeah.
But for the Saints, I don't feel that bad. Their offense was non-existent compared to the weeks prior to this point, but you only lost to the Eagles by 3 points. But it's at home. I did expect the Saints to win this game, especially with the momentum they had coming into the game. And again, I don't think Jalen Hurts is on fire right now.
Mm-mm.
But
The Eagles are in disarray.
yeah,
Like,
and
from
again,
the
we
end of
mentioned,
last year, even.
yeah, and we mentioned it last week. Did Jason Kelsey seriously hold that O-line together that hard? Because Jalen Hurts, it just feels like he doesn't have the time he should. Yes, he still threw for 300 yards, but
They're missing AJ Brown.
That's the key.
Which is huge. That's
that
huge.
offense.
and I think was it this week that Devontae Smith took a nasty hit too?
Yeah.
He was still
Yeah, he
playing.
went
He
out
was still
in
in
the
the
third
game.
quarter.
He came back.
He did come back. Okay.
came back.
Okay.
He had a decent game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually,
mean,
the tight end Goddard.
I was gonna say
Crazy
Goddard had
game.
a crazy game.
Goddard went off.
That would have been a fantasy one.
Yeah.
No touchdowns,
Philly's
but
record
170 yards.
for
On 10
receiving
catches.
yards as a
PPR.
tight end.
Yeah.
Really? Philly record for
Philly record for
that surprised me with
Receiving,
Zach Ertz
yep.
being there so long.
yeah
Wow.
For a tight end
for
specifically.
tight end
Okay.
specifically.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. And then you had Saquon almost do a King Henry. The same thing. 147 yards, 2
What a-
tuds.
147 on 17 carries.
What
That's
a start
Saquon,
to the
dude.
year for
That-
him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He had a long
man.
one in there.
Yeah, it is 65 yards.
Yeah, but then
Yeah,
both
but
of his
still,
touchdowns
you
came in the
take that
second
out.
half, in the fourth quarter. So that was the difference of the whole game.
Yeah, still, like you're about to say, you take that out, you're still almost at 100 yards on 60.
Oh yeah. Hey, I have Barkley on fantasy. I ain't mad about any of those.
I bet. I bet.
Wish
Can
they're
I
a little
still beat
higher.
Wish they were a little higher, he says.
But yeah, for me, maybe just a little off game for the Saints, see if they can rebound. Again, I didn't expect the Saints to do anything this year. So the fact that they did what they did to Dallas really surprised me. So who do they got next? I'm
Eagles
curious.
D kind of showed up today.
They-
and
they did.
Jalen Carter played a
That dude's a
heck
dog.
of a game.
That dude's a dog.
Well, we all thought he was in, but he hasn't really showed out since.
Oh,
he's been
last year he
drafted.
was. Last year he was.
couple games.
In my opinion, he was the defensive rookie of the year last year.
Interesting. I guess I didn't watch
It
enough
was more
Eagles
towards
games
like
last
the
year.
end of the year, like the last half of the season. He was just on an absolute tear. That
When
dude's
the
a
Vikes played him. He didn't do anything.
monster.
No, but I'm telling you, that Eagles defense just
You-
wait. I'm just so sold on
Oh,
it.
you
I'm
love
just
them.
so sold on the idea of what they did to
All
build
those
that
new
young
cornerbacks
defense.
they got. Yeah.
All from already a championship winning team. Like, I'm sold on it. Just give them
Yeah.
time to marinate. I know I keep saying it, but
You could
I don't
Zach Bond. The addition of Zach Bond on that defense has been huge too. It was a get back game for Bond too because he was on the Saints, but
Oh, yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's in like he was all over the field against the Packers. I mean, I don't know. He little close to home there, being a Badger, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
But no,
pretty-
he's-
it was
he's
a
really
boring
had a
game
good year.
overall. I mean,
Terrible
at the
game.
end, they made it tight. Carr had a really bad interception on the last possession,
yeah, he
too,
did.
like in
Yes, he
Carr
did.
fashion.
Yes.
You know, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, we just got to kick a field goal. We have 50 seconds on the clock. Let me chuck one down the middle real quick to hope and pray
Yeah.
on 2nd and 5.
Don't worry, it's Derek Carr versus Kirk Cousins next week. That's who they play. They go to Atlanta. I wonder if the Saints will be able to handle that.
what's
But,
Atlanta's record? Are they 1-2 or 2-1?
Atlanta is 1-2.
1-2.
But that's a tough 1-2. Atlanta's played a little bit better than I thought as well at this point in the season. It's a tough 1-2. I'll give them that. But they're 0-2 at home. So
Yeah. The
Saints-
Eagles are their only win.
right. And then they played the Chiefs
Played
real
the
close
Steelers.
And the
this
Steelers.
past week.
They
right?
should have beat the Steelers.
Well, they look
great
jumped.
game against the Chiefs.
And then a great game against. That's what I mean. It's a tough
Yeah,
one
it was
and
a good
two.
game.
Yeah,
That was
It's a
Sunday
tough
night.
one and
two
two.
fourth downs that they didn't convert. If either one of them goes their way.
And we're going to be
Okay.
talking about a third down here in a minute. But
I just love seeing Bijan get the ball.
Finally.
He's a
God, it's
beast.
so relieving. I
He's a
didn't have
beast.
him in
He's a
fantasy
beast.
last year or this year. It's just like
Yeah.
get that dude the ball.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
He
No
really
doubt.
is. He's like a Barkley with more athleticism.
if that's possible.
A little bit more power. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe more power,
power,
than athleticism, I would
yeah,
say.
yeah.
But it's like that dude just looks like a wrecking ball.
He does.
He's
He
elite.
does.
So
His one cut,
It's like Derrick Henry and Barkley combined.
yeah, his like one cut. He has so much explosiveness out of that one cut that he just leaves people just fending for their
He gone.
jockstrap. Yeah, it's cool to watch, man. It's also cool seeing a running back wear number 7. I just find that neat.
I mean, he's also he's thick, man.
He's a big boy.
5'11", 215.
He's a big
he
boy.
will run you over.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
He's a big
He
boy.
will run you over.
And they
Re-
can spell him with Algier. And I mean, they
Oh,
got
yeah.
a
Yep.
great
Yeah.
backup. And
For sure.
Bijan's even talked about it's great to get a breather on those longer drives.
Yep.
yeah, and you're not necessarily worried about too much with Algier going
No.
in the game. He
He was
didn't
a
have
1,000-yard
he didn't-
rusher 2 years
I was
ago.
going to say
Yeah.
he didn't have a bad season.
Yep.
You know, but moving right along here, just to update the standings for this past week. Our guest Ben from last week went 2-3. Rob 2-3. Yours truly 3-2, and Matt going 4-1.
That a boy,
last
Matt.
week. Matt going
Fired up
4-1.
for you, buddy.
Yeah, fire up, Matt.
Fire up, Matt.
And then Jake, who was our guest from the first couple weeks, he ended up going 2-3. So on the season, I'm leading, believe it or not, at 9-6. We all know that. Rob right in second place, 8-7. Jake at 6-9. Matt at 6-4. And Ben, since it was his last week, 2-3 will be his season standings at the moment. I will be sending Jake, Matt, Ben, all of the picks so we can keep this thing rolling with them as well as Mike now and Tyler, who do not have any season standings at the moment, but they will next week.
They're perfect so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't missed a pick yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 0-0, you still don't have a win percentage. Sorry, my brain was like, yeah, they got a great win percentage. Well, you can't have a win percentage if you don't win anything. But anyway, moving on. Again, another week in a row that I'm bad at math, and it shows.
That a boy.
All right, so with
Put
that,
it into
Kev,
the Excel sheet. It'll do the math for
what's
you.
up? Yeah, well, I got to figure that out too. But with that, Kev, let's head right into our 10 talk. And starting right off with the injuries, we'll just go right down the list here. Brock Purdy got an MRI, revealed pretty much nothing. He's day-to-day, though, with some back soreness. Got to have him. Chargers are screwed this week. Both Chargers offensive tackles, Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater, both to miss the game against the Chiefs. Herbert right now with a high ankle sprain re-aggravated that thing, so he's probably questionable. Heineke will probably start for him if Herbert can't go. So probably not the end of the world for the Chargers, but still you'd rather have Justin Herbert out there.
Yeah,
Sam Darnold went down in the Vikes game. We were all holding our breath as Nick Mullins ran onto the field, but Sam Darnold's MRI was clean. So he just got a little bruise in the knee, but he'll be all right.
Thank you, football guys.
Looking to start next week. I'll throw it to Tyler at the end of this to give us a little Jordan Love update, so I'll move on. Skylar Thompson went down with a rib injury for the Dolphins. It's iffy if Skylar can go. If he can't, their options most likely are going to be Tim Boyle or Tyler Huntley.
Good luck.
I
Tim
think there's
Boyle.
only one answer there.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Forfeit.
Yeah, right. After last night's game, Bengals offensive tackle Trent Brown done for the season after tearing his patellar tendon.
That sucks.
That's a big
It's
L.
a big loss.
Adam Thielen, love Adam Thielen, placed on IR with a hamstring injury. So what jumps out? But before we do that, what's our Jordan Love update?
We don't have much. So
Perfect.
LaFleur came out
Perfect.
today and said that they're doing everything they can to get him to play this week. It's obviously a huge game, but it was he started practicing in limited participation last week. He started yesterday's practice as limited participation. Now we don't know what that means. That could mean that he's actually on the field studying, like going over reps with the team. They're not going to release that. There's no media coverage on that aspect of it. So we'll see. I mean, it looks like all signs are pointed towards him playing. But
If he's not 100%, would you start him this week if you're Matt LaFleur?
I would say if he is over 75%, I would start him. I like my chances
really?
with the 75% Jordan Love over a limited Packers offense with Malik Willis. Seen great things out of Malik Willis, but we're not playing, the Colts or the Titans. This is for the. I mean, this is a pivotal game.
a division game.
Mike's like, I'm not coming back next week.
It's a pivotal game in the division right now, and the way the Vikings defense is playing. I mean, we need all hands on deck, and
For sure.
like I said, I've loved what I've seen in Willis, but I'll take a 75% J Love.
It does.
That's it. I mean, with Love having the full playbook, even if that playbook won't be full, it'll be limited. Just the overall knowledge of where every receiver's going on every route. You have all these plays open to you. Got to get creative against this Flores defense. Love's in the game. They're going to bring pressure. So, we're getting into the preview for the next game here, but I mean, it's just a whole different ball game when you got Malik Willis in there. You put 7-8 in the box, and you trust that Vikings secondary to go and beat these young receivers. Hopefully, LaFleur can get them open, but I think we need to score 21 to 24 points to have a hanging chance in this game.
All right, well, we'll see if he plays.
Oh snap!
But
Anything
all
else?
signs are pointed towards him playing, as much as they'll say that, right?
Yeah.
Everything's so.
I have a
under-
feeling he's not going to.
I think he'll play.
You know,
I think he'll play.
All right, we're 2-2 here.
Yeah, it's Vikings
Weird. The
fans.
Vikings
Nope,
fans
he's
are like,
out.
oh, he's not playing.
Just putting it in like Love's mindset, right? Like huge game in the season. Like he's going to do everything he can to want to play in that game. I think if he doesn't play, it's a doctor's decision
Sure.
or a
Okay.
team decision.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Nothing else really sticks out to me other than the Chargers are probably going to lose to the Chiefs this week. But again, we'll get into that in our preview, as that will be one of the games we're previewing. So great on Sam Darnold. We'll see him this week. But other than that, we'll just head right into our news here.
So before we get on that there, so great on Sam, MRI clean, even with like soreness or the limited mobility there. I mean, that could be big too.
He'll be all right. He'll be a higher percentage.
Jordan
than
Love's
Jordan
not
Love,
playing.
so.
Sam
That's
Darnold's in
really
the
high
game.
percentage. That's
Sounds like
true.
the Vikings fans just think the quarterbacks are fine just how they are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Darnold's
How
100.
it's sitting right now.
Love is 0. Got it. Got it.
Done.
That's
Yeah.
where
Write
this
down.
is at.
That's what we're going with.
Write that
That's what we're
down.
going with. To start off the news, Derwin James Jr. for the Chargers suspended 1 game for a hit he had on Pat Fryermuth.
It's not just that hit though. It's repeated failure to like follow the NFL's like safety rules or something, like how they termed it.
Yeah.
Just like, is
Yeah.
this dude just a headhunter or what?
A repeated offender.
Which he hasn't always done. That's kind of a newer development for him. He'll come down and hit you hard, but it's a little bit different now.
15 years ago, this isn't a
can't do it.
thing.
Yeah.
It's new age
100%
NFL.
talking about it. Yep.
100%.
Bring it back.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
mention this. I don't know if it's really worth it, but Bryce Young is expected to start again this season, according to Ian Rappaport.
Who cares?
Does that even matter? Like, I mean, for Bryce Young on a personal level, for sure it does. Like,
Does
you
it?
think he wants
Do you want to
to?
play?
That's just a
Probably not for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Probably not for the Panthers.
Yeah, isn't that just a
but-
confidence saying that like someone in the organization is like, all right,
Could
we're gonna
be.
leak this out?
You know
to
who it's not?
someone?
You know who's not saying that? David Tepper.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Is it a confidence? Is somebody in that organization going to try to build his confidence?
Yeah.
Well,
That's
no,
the
if you
thought.
want to trade him, be like, yeah,
If Skylar Thompson's injured, do the Dolphins go after Bryce Young?
I don't think they would. You would have to offer so much draft capital being 1 year off of the first overall
But
pick.
can't-
Would be
Does it
sad.
have to
I don't.
right now,
no,
though?
I don't think
I think so.
Carolina's going to charge that
You
much.
have to.
How about
He's
this?
a number one
Three-way
pick last
trade.
year.
Stafford to Miami, Bryce Young to the Rams, and then draft picks over to the Panthers.
I mean,
I don't
I
think
think
the Rams are
Miami's
taking
happy,
it.
but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
think. I don't
So they
think.
get Stafford.
What? Yeah, I think Miami's
Well,
happy.
why
I don't
would
think
LA do that
Yeah, why would
trade?
LA
Well,
do
because
that?
they're already hurt. Is their season?
They're 2-1.
Well, I know. I don't know how.
They're 2-1. They just beat the
they've got
Niners.
Sean
hurt.
McVay.
All
They're
right,
always
fine,
going to have
fine.
a chance.
Maybe in the offseason.
But it's kind of a reset for them too. Is if they did go that way.
Is it? The last year, everybody thought it was going to be a reset, and they damn near they did make the playoffs. So they
Yeah.
did,
Make the
yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
With the late
I don't know.
run,
I don't
right?
think.
They
I don't
weren't
think
good all year.
resets in McVay's vocabulary.
No.
All right.
I don't think LA says yes to that at all.
And they gave up so much to get Stafford.
True, but what if they got something back though?
Yeah, they got a Super Bowl out of it.
Price and a draft pick.
That's. I mean, that's the thing. I don't think the Panthers are considering a Bryce Young trade. You
Okay.
can't. They think of what they gave up to get Bryce Young.
They did
There's
give up
still
a
a
lot.
whole nother draft
I would-
pick
I
coming
would
Chicago's
hope-
way.
I would hope for the Panthers that they're not giving up that early on Bryce Young.
If it's not for 2 first rounders, why would you make that trade? And who's giving up 2 first rounders for Bryce Young?
Okay.
Yeah, no.
He's like a 4th rounder. Maybe a second
Yeah.
rounder.
Maybe a second.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we'll
If
see.
somebody's offering you a first-round draft pick for Bryce Young right now, that's tough.
That's tough, man.
It's tough. It's
Sorry.
tough.
I think if
Sorry,
somebody
I
offers
throw it
them
out there, like-
one first rounder, I think they take it.
Because let's say they wait, and now you're in next season, and if
Correct.
Bryce Young's the same player,
Yeah.
you're not getting first-round draft pick for him next season.
Nope.
Yeah.
So
No.
if somebody calls at the right price, maybe
It's-
they do take that.
I just
It's
don't
a
see
team
anybody
in
giving that
need.
much up.
Yeah. I don't think
Well,
they
Miami
would give up.
though. They're
yeah.
the desperate
Yeah,
one.
right. Miami is
But
built to
look at-
win right now.
But think of but they could get a proven like backup in the league right now,
Oh,
like a Ryan
absolutely.
Tannehill, a Joe
Why haven't they
Flacco.
then?
I think they believe in Skylar Thompson.
If he's healthy to go, that was a nasty hit he took.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, he's hurt.
He's
hurting.
Yeah.
So
But I don't know. It's tough
that's
though because
tough.
it's like
I mean, if I'm a Dolphin fan, I want some kind of move.
I'm
but
going,
it- but
I'm
it's-
calling for Joe Flacco.
But his
Yeah.
okay. I could see
If I'm a
I'm calling
Dolphins
for Joe
fan, I do
Flacco.
not want Bryce Young. I was just wondering if they would do
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I mean, I want somebody like.
I'll take a Mitch Trubisky right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tannehill,
Yeah. I mean,
Trubisky.
Let's throw his
any-
name out there. Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson was the other one out there.
see that'd be a move for Miami. I think.
Yeah.
If I'm
Russell
Pittsburgh, I'm entertaining that. What else are you going to get out of Russell? Justin Fields won you 3 games,
Yep.
and he's like 10 years younger.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
only problem with Russell Wilson, it's so the Dolphins is a timing throwing offense, and I don't think he's a timing throwing quarterback.
But
He likes
depending
to
on which,
scamper. He likes to
Yeah.
make plays on his feet. He
What
doesn't.
is he in Madden? An improviser? Is
Yes,
that what they call it?
Yeah, exactly. Look at
but
that.
even that though, if he's put in a system that just requires him to hit that target that's open because you're throwing to the 2 fastest players in the NFL.
True, but in any system, it's always throw it to the open receiver, and Caleb Williams still doesn't do that.
Well, let's look at experience here.
I
Wilson
know.
versus
That
Williams.
was the first name that came to my
No, but that
mind.
would be interesting though if like Pittsburgh would entertain that. I don't know why they wouldn't, but Miami's got to do something. They
I
got to
think
do
they
something.
need
They have
to
a
do
team ready
something.
to win
Yeah,
now.
they do. They do.
No offense, you can't send Tim Boyle out there.
No.
But yeah, moving on to something that probably will not be a debate. This might be short. Kansas City at Atlanta this week. Kind of a late no call as far as like late in the game on a 3rd and 5 from the 6-yard line, about 4 minutes left. Looked like a clear PI to me. I mean, who was it? Drake London was the receiver?
No, Pitts.
It was Pitts. Okay, yeah. I mean, he was getting pretty much tackled before
Yeah.
the ball even was near him. It was that PI.
Nah, dude, let him play.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
it was for sure PI.
For
Dude's
sure. For
turned
sure.
around.
Yeah. He didn't turn his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
And
never
hugging
looked
him.
for it.
He's
Never
like,
looked
hugging
for it.
him. He's bear hugging
Never
this dude.
looked for it.
Yeah,
Never looked for it.
It's just another instance of the refs being on KC's side. I mean, it's like I hate to say that and talk about it, but it's so
I
many
know.
constant occurrences at this point where it has to be talked about.
I didn't even want to bring that up, and because like I think the Chiefs are good again, and as I said a couple weeks ago, I think the Chiefs could actually three-peat, but
Yeah, you did.
it does suck to see that type of no call.
It
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
and it's are the refs
It does
winning
make you
the Chiefs
question.
games?
It makes you question it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And there's never been a three-peat in the NFL, and
yeah.
blah 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 blah, and we can just
You want
the
them to
saying
earn it
goes,
if they earn it.
Things roll downhill.
You saying
So-
Goodell's a Swiftie, bro?
Hey man, he could be. Hey, he could be. And right before we move on from news, I got something I got to throw in there really quick for old time's sake. How's our Rogers watch looking, buddy?
Rogers watch. Well, that's a less of a concern nowadays.
Yeah.
But pretty damn good if you watch that last game.
Yeah, not bad.
I'm
not
glad
bad.
to see him back in the. I'm glad to see him back in the league, back performing. You know, I've always loved Rodgers. I think it was one of the smartest things he could do is venture outside of Green Bay from what that was given to him. It sucks,
Sure,
but I'm not too unhappy now with number 10.
I bet not.
Makes it a lot easier. I can tell you that much.
I bet not. We're annoyed.
Yeah.
Us Vikings fans are annoyed. You
Well,
have a
we
third
kinda-
quarterback
That
in a
sucks,
row.
doesn't
but-
it?
Well, we kind of missed out on him. Now you think about the Brett Favre back in the day. 1 year at the Jets, did horrible. Well, last year he got hurt, so he didn't have a chance to do bad.
Sam Darnold
and then he could have came here. But we
I don't
didn't-
think.
I mean, you
to
got
be-
Sam Darnold.
Well, true, but
For
you know
this
what I mean?
season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
no.
So how you guys feel? Well, that'll be another time.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I just wanted to end it with that because we always used to ask you that because it was
Yeah.
a thing.
Rogers watch. He's
So-
looking good in number 8.
He's looking good.
Not
He's
in green
looking
though. I don't know. It looks weird.
Just
It does look
it's-
weird.
In that green.
It looks
he
weird.
He looks weird in that green.
Can't say that I tune into the Rogers Tuesday on the McAfee show much anymore.
You don't?
No.
No point. No point. Anyway, with that, let's move on to Bonehead Move of the Week.
Genius.
So I got two quick boneheads. The first one actually happened at the Vikings game, of course. Right at the end of the game, we got fans fighting in the stands, which is wild for Minnesota. I don't think I've ever seen a video of fans fighting at a Minnesota game, but Minnesota, Houston fan, made it happen. So disappointing for me. So that's just a personal bonehead move of the week. But the real bonehead move of the week, honestly, for me, came from Bengals defensive back Cam Taylor-Britt. As last week he was talking all this talk before the Commanders game on how they're a nice college offense, and Jane Daniels lit him up. Lit him up. And honestly, what's the coach there?
What team?
Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor was pretty disappointed in the comments. That's not what we do. You know, we're humble in our wins and our losses, but we don't talk before the game. So he's pretty disappointed in that. But how do you guys feel about the chirping before the game just to go out there and take the L?
I don't know. You gotta be
confident, right?
Yeah. Especially as a DB, I like the little bit, a little swagger to it.
But it's a DB thing to do, man.
DB's a receiver. So I can't.
That interception he had was absurd. Catch of the year so far.
Yeah, so like he's 2 for 1 right now. We'll give him that.
You're cutting him slack.
Yeah,
you're cutting him slack.
I like a little.
He's
bit.
not a bonehead.
Not everyone needs to be friends.
Fair enough. No, I agree with that.
The cool thing is he doubled down.
Yeah.
After he doubled down, he's like, it wasn't saying it was like a shot at him, just saying it's a college style offense, and it's like, buddy, y'all got exposed.
Yeah. No.
21 of 23.
But it's Cliff Kingsbury. It is a college offense.
It is.
100%. It's not like he was not telling the truth.
Why would you do anything else?
We're not talking about that part.
All right, sorry.
Let me have my thing.
I'm with Rob though. I like it. Bring the shit talk back.
All right.
I like hearing it, but if you get 38 dropped on you, I want to hear what you have to say now.
Yeah.
Which he accepted it. He accepted it. He was like, "Hey, it is what it is." I said it. I still stand by it. He accepted it, but no, I just thought it was funny. Thought it was funny. But that is week 4's Bonehead Move of the Week. And to start off week 4, right? We're in week 4. Yes, we are.
We
Going
are.
into week 4.
Quarter of the way done
for some
almost.
reason. But week 4, Vikings traveling to Lambeau. Banter with the boys. Game of the week. That's going to be tough. And honestly, I want to start with you, homie.
I'm glad this game's in Lambeau. With the obvious injury that we have to our quarterback. I think it's going to be a really, really, really close game, regardless of who's the quarterback, just because I believe that much in LaFleur's system. I'm excited to see what our defense is going to do against what's turned out to be a top-tier offense this year. I think the biggest thing that's going to be a deciding factor in this game on the defensive side of the ball for the Packers is how much pressure we get on Darnold. He really hasn't been pressured this year. Your offensive line's played great.
Two best left tackles in football.
Yeah.
Well, that's very arguable, but let's just go past that. I'm still not taking anybody above Trent Williams at left tackle.
All right, second best.
Period. Simply
All
that.
right, we'll take second there.
That's a good call.
But what it's going to come down to is how much pressure we can get on the quarterback and if we can get these timely turnovers. Right? Xavier McKinney's been on fire. Let's see if we can get one on the back end. And if Malik Willis starts, it's going to be a heavy run game with that intermediate passing, but I am going to take my Packers.
Going to take your Packers. Whew. Rob?
Close game, though. I really do think it's going to be a really, really good game.
It's going to be a great
Yeah,
game.
I think it's going to be a really good game. So especially if Willis starts, you're going to get a lot of those quick passes that I think it kind of counters Flores' pressure. It's hard to get pressure on when the ball goes out of hand. I think that was the advantage last week. That Stroud and them, they like to run deeper routes. So I think it's all about Jacobs, whether they can get him run. The Vikings been a little bit sus on stopping the run a little bit. Vikings offense, though, on the other side, establishing the run. And, I'd really like to have Addison and Hawkinson full force against in this
What's
game.
Addison's status this week?
I don't
Probably out. I haven't heard any whispers of him actually playing.
Another
at
injury
all.
on my fantasy team.
So, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game. But it's really hard to predict without knowing what quarterback's gonna start.
It'd be a lot easier, but
You know?
that's tough though too, just because of like regardless of like it's such a different offense with who's at quarterback.
Yeah.
It's just.
But is it the other way though? Is if Love is, and then they run a little longer, deeper routes, does that play more into the Vikings defense? Is they have to pass protect for longer against a very confusing schemed style of defense. So I'm going Vikes for sure on this game, but it's gonna be a barn burner. So I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, according to KOC, whatever this means to you, he is optimistic that Edison will play on Sunday.
Oh, play little head games. The
right.
Packers are doing that with Love. We can do it back now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mike, what we got?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely in contention for game of the week this week. I think this and Bills Ravens are probably what I'm most excited for. I think it does come down to who plays quarterback for the Packers. I think if Malik starts, the Vikings win. If Love starts, I think the Packers win. I think Love will start, so I'm going to go with the Packers.
Ouch. I don't think that's correct. Mike will not be back next week.
New unscheduled guest will be here.
Yeah, new unscheduled guest. Yeah, I gotta go Vikes, but I mean, I agree. It's gonna be tough. I like what you were starting to say earlier with Jordan Love in the game. If Jordan Love plays, Flores is sending the pressure. He's gonna test out. What's the injury? Is it his knee? I can't remember. Jordan Love.
Test out his mobility.
Yeah.
It's an MCL.
Give him a test. Make sure see how mobile he actually is. Adjust from there and then attack that. If Jordan Love plays. So even if Jordan Love plays, for me, the only thing they have going for him is Lambeau's a tough place to play. But yeah, I got to go Vikes. No matter who's starting at quarterback this week.
Got one name to say that's my X factor for the Packers in this game, and it's Tucker Kraft.
Tucker Kraft.
Not just his ability to play that intermediate short passing game, but if Flores is bringing that pressure, we're going to have to offset that edge, and he's going to have to chip and help in the run game.
Interesting. And
I don't know. More so for his chipping and his overall pass pro and helping out with that than his overall production in terms of stats, but Tucker Kraft, X factor for the Vikes.
Yeah. Is there any injuries for the Packers that are not obviously Love, but anything else that you got a lineman or anybody that's questionable or anything like that? I guess I didn't look into their injury report at all.
So Jordan Morgan, our first round pick this year, went down in the week 2 game against the Colts. He didn't play, I don't believe, any snaps last week. No, he might play this week, but he's not a starter anyway.
Okay.
I do like him at right guard over Sean Ryan. I'm not a fan of him. Rasheed Walker went down last game. Believe he did come back in the game though. He's a starting left tackle.
Okay.
But outside of that, no. I mean, like
pretty clean right now.
Knock on wood.
Yeah,
The Packers have been one of the few teams in the NFL the Vikings got Addison, and Hawkinson. Like one of the few teams in the NFL that are actually like healthy right now. We don't have any starters
glaring
other ones
other than Jalen.
The huge one.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is wild because the Packers have historically always been hurt. Like every year we get something. I don't know what.
Bakhtiari was injured for like 5 years in a row.
We don't need to bring that name up.
5 years in a row getting paid.
Let's just remove that memory from the.
Look, I've made fun of the Vikings. I gotta bring some your way too.
All right, so you're going Vikings. Is that what I'm getting out of that?
Absolutely not.
He's changing it. All right. Pittsburgh traveling to Indianapolis. Mike, I'm letting you take this.
All right, absolutely. I mean, I don't see the Pittsburgh starting the season 4-0. It's a home game. Anthony Richardson knows he played like trash last week. He's gotta have a game that redeems himself. And so I think that's this game. I don't think he's gonna throw it 50 times like Caleb Williams did. I think they're still gonna feed Jonathan Taylor, but they're gonna mix in and Anthony Richardson's gonna perform. I see Richardson having 2 touchdowns, a solid 65% completion and getting it done versus the Steelers.
Okay.
How many turnovers can they have and still win?
Ooh. I think they can have one. Yeah. One.
So if they get to 2 and
if they get to 2, then the defense needs they got to be +1.
Okay.
They got to be +1. So if we have 1, then we got to get 2 from them.
All right.
I feel that.
So
yeah, I think 2 would just be too much to overcome for the Colts right now.
Yeah, I mean with the way the offense is playing, Michael Pittman hasn't gotten going beyond a couple of 40 and 50-yard passes, which are great. Nobody's really gotten anything in the receiving game. So we need, I'd love to just see 10 catches for 100 yards for Pittman. Like, more receptions. You know, let's just get it out there. Move
10-yard curls.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It does. I mean, Anthony Richardson can throw the ball, and I think that, you know, we do need a couple of those plays every game, but we've got to have the 5 to 15-yard completions in there.
For sure. We'll go back the other way then. So I'm taking the Colts all day. I don't know. The Colts at home is just a good feeling for me, and I also agree. I don't think the Steelers are going to start the season 4-0. They got to come back to earth at some point, which is why I almost took the Packers, but just can't do it. My soul can't do it.
Bad boy.
But
can't pick against your own team.
No, not going to happen. Not when they're 3-0, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the Colts will be able to take it to them, but I kind of agree with that. I mean, over one turnover would be a problem. Yeah. Would be a problem for the Colts this week. Rob.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, I feel like this is almost like if you flip Chicago and Pittsburgh in this scenario, it's the same game as last week. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. I do have Indy sneaking it out in a close game, too.
Another 15-12 game like the Eagles Saints.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's.
Don't make me watch that.
I honestly, I guess it's going to be a sloppy, low-scoring game is how it's going to be. Both defense, I mean, the Steelers' defense does fly all over the field, so they're going to give the Colts a little bit. I think the X factor in it is Taylor. He's having a wonderful year, and if Richardson doesn't turn over the ball, I mean, even last game he turned over the ball and they still won. So,
TJ Watt's healthy, yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
on a tear this year, dude.
That's tough.
That's that's their X factor. If he gets 3-4 times, but that's what I think. The other side is Richardson is such a big, stout quarterback that I feel like he can shut off one or two of those sacks that typically other quarterbacks don't. So that might be the difference maker there too.
I'll give him that, and has the legs to get out.
Yeah,
if he can feel it coming.
Who's getting out of Watt, dude?
I know. Hey, that's a great point.
Maybe Nick Herberg on the other side, but I don't know if you're escaping Mr. TJ.
Who you got?
I'm also going to take the Colts on this one. I'm with you guys. Pittsburgh has to come back to earth here. Colts have a solid defense. They need to feed Jonathan Taylor. He needs to get 30 to 35 carries a game right now until Richardson figures out.
That's a lot.
He had 23 last week. They won the game against the Packers. If they would have kept feeding Jonathan Taylor, they probably would have squeaked that one out in the game. We couldn't stop him, and you just stopped giving him the ball. So I didn't understand that. But you need the Colts need to stop relying on Richardson as much as they are and just feed Taylor, and Pittman has to get going. I'd love to see 12 targets for Pittman, even if it's 7 or 8 catches. Give the ball to him. Give him a chance 10 to 12 times.
You just
a game.
paid him like a number 1, so he's got to
He had 6 targets last game. You cannot have that out of a wide
number
receiver
one.
his caliber. Yeah. Alec Pierce has been really fun to watch.
Yeah. Yes,
and I think that's where you can hit the Steelers defense is that big play. They're prone to that big play because of that. If they're reliant on that rush, if that rush isn't hitting home and you're giving Richardson that time, Pierce has
got the arm to beat it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, his arm is silly. It's crazy.
Who's the matchup going to be on that right tackle versus TJ for the Colts?
That I don't know.
Oh,
that I don't know.
I don't even know the tackle over there. Either way,
clueless.
They'll probably be chipping in and running back over there the whole
Nelson's
time.
the guard over there. I don't remember who the tackle
Nelson's
is.
the other guard.
It would be
right?
Braden Smith, who's actually decent
Braden Smith. Yeah,
right
he's a
tackle
good
in the league.
He's a good tackle.
Oh yeah. Braden.
Nelson's on the other side,
I know
Better now.
Braden. I know that
Sorry,
guy.
buddy.
Yeah.
I know you're an avid listener. We apologize.
Yeah. Come on the show. Anyway, Chiefs traveling to the LA Chargers. I'll go ahead and start this one being a Chargers fan, and they're going to lose this week. There's no chance. You're missing your tackles. That's so huge. Justin Herbert's a maybe. So if he's a game time decision, I'm not playing him. Missing my 2 top tackles, I'm not playing Justin Herbert. I don't care. Against the Chiefs, I'm sorry. Like, I'll send Heineke out there as the one that's slated to start if Herbert can't go. I think J.K. Dobbins has had a nice year to start, kind of rejuvenating himself. But it's not going to be enough. We know the refs are on the Chiefs side. I'm just kidding. I'll try to not bring that up. But, I think the Chiefs are just way too dominant right now, although we've seen them in some real tight games. But this one will not be.
Keeping it interesting. Scriptwriters got it down tight, you know?
Here we go. But this one will not be that as much as it hurts my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just pop in here real quick. I think this isn't be a blowout, actually. I mean, I guess losing the tackles I'm trying to think who the Chiefs DNs are, but you got Jones in the middle, so I guess that's the matchup is not against new tackles most of the time, but sometimes they'll put Jones out on the edge anyways. So, the Chargers aren't just going to have enough in this game. I think the Chiefs are going to pick this pretty quick.
Yep, and home field advantage for this week, I feel like does not matter. Chiefs fans will travel, and they're all over the country.
Oh. You're playing in LA. There's no such thing as like either of the Los Angeles teams. They don't have home games.
Like a true home game.
They don't have a look. If you look at the crowd last week, it was red.
49ers fans.
Yeah.
It was red.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yep.
Yeah, I was at that stadium a couple years ago, and it was definitely. I mean, it was a Chargers game, but yeah, there was tons of
Other
Blade
fans.
So and just random fans.
Yeah.
So
For sure. Go for it. Why don't you just
absolutely.
take it away?
I mean, I really want to pick the Chargers here. I am not as high up on the Chiefs right now. Patrick Mahomes, average
not played
distance.
that great.
No, he does not look good. He does not look like Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately, I just don't think the Chargers without their tackles are going to be the team to take them down right now. They don't need Patrick Mahomes. They just need to be competent in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I'll take the Chiefs. I think it'll be close. The Chargers are going to run a lot, but yeah, without your tackles, you're not going to run.
Yeah, and
that
Derwin
far.
James, yeah.
And Derwin James, yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to get at.
Yep.
Is like this is a game for Travis Kelce to show who Travis Kelce is, simply
Finally.
because Derwin James isn't guarding him.
Yeah.
Derwin James has been like the only thing close to kryptonite as there is possible for Travis Kelce. He shattered him every game, and it's 2 times a year. Chiefs are going to run away with this one. Derwin James isn't just like his physical presence on the field, but he's the vocal leader of that defense.
Yep, I agree with that.
I mean, I don't care if it's the Burnsville's high school team's ends of charge running against him here. You're not going to be able to protect Herbert. He's hobbled. You got George Karlaftis, great name.
Yep.
And then I don't know who the other edge rusher is, but the Chiefs are going to walk through the Chargers in this one, which sucks because I like the Chargers too.
Yeah.
I think this is the highest spread, I think, in Vegas.
I would imagine
It
so.
Maybe there was one other one that
Chargers.
was at 7, but yeah.
I'd imagine so. So far, our picks have not been entertaining, but it's about to get interesting. The Bills traveling to Baltimore.
Ooh.
That's a toughie.
I don't
That's
want to
a
start
toughie.
with this one.
I can go first on this one.
Yeah,
I'll jump
go.
in. I haven't gotten first yet, so
You did for Indy, you liar.
Oh, I did. Damn it.
But we already knew we were going to pick
Anyway,
so
that's not really a surprise pick from the Indy fan. So, both teams just played out last week. Josh Allen is having an amazing year. He's got the most games now ever with 250 yards passing, 40 yards rushing, and 4 passing touchdowns. So, kind of a unique stat, but he just does everything for that team. They took away his best receiver, and he just said, fine, I'll throw it to everybody else. So I don't think the Ravens are going to get 255 yards passing or rushing on the Bills defense this week. They'll know to contain that and make Jackson beat him through the air. So I'm going to go with the Bills.
Going with the Bills.
Yep.
Going with the Bills. Okay.
circle
All right.
the wagons. I like it. That's the Colts in him right there.
Tyler. We got Bills at Baltimore.
I'll second Mike on this one. I think
On
the Bills
Bills?
are going to take this one
Okay.
too. Josh Allen's playing out of his mind right now. As crazy as this is to say, I think one of the best things to happen to that Bills offense is taking Stephon Diggs out of it. Now Josh
Out of
Allen,
the locker room.
not even take that out of the equation. That's an obvious, but like taking him off the field and not giving Josh Allen that true number one threat is forcing him to view the field and just finding the open guy and not just looking at that Diggs as the first guy. So I think the Bills offense, James Cook he's looked great this year.
Oh, yeah.
Josh
Amazing.
Allen, what he can do with the pass and the run game. Their defense is playing solid. The Ravens, I mean, like you said, it's a very, very like questionable 1-2 they're at right now. But at the end of the day, they're 1-2 and they lost to the Raiders, who just lost to the Panthers. So they didn't look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you put it like that,
right.
But it's like,
Easy win.
with Ravens at home, and Von Miller looks a little bit more back to form. This Bills team is humming right now, so I can't go against until I see that prototypical Josh Allen 2 touchdown, 3 turnover game. I'm sticking with him. It's gonna happen.
That is funny that you meant. That's funny that you
100%
mentioned.
will
Oh,
happen.
all right, Tyler, tell him how that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's funny you mention it because the Bills will lose their next 2 games. Straight up.
distinctly
They
possible.
play the Ravens and then they go to Houston, I believe. Do they travel to Houston? Yes, they do. They play their next 3 games are away. Baltimore, Houston, and the Jets. So I think they lose not only this game but also to Houston, and then I think they go on an absolute tear and snap out of it.
Ooh,
I know that's ridiculously out of pocket considering how well they've played this season. I think they're gonna struggle. I think this is where we see Lamar just go off on the ground with his legs. I think they're gonna struggle to contain Lamar, and it's just gonna be tough. We might see a return. Is Mark Andrews healthy?
He is.
I think this is a game where we finally see him.
I think Isaiah
Get a little
Likely
bit
is just
more
too damn
action.
good to
He
put
is.
him on
Yeah.
the.
Absolutely,
Isaiah's gotta be their new number
Absolutely.
one.
Yeah.
He's-
Oh, they're
he's been
running
awesome.
two tight ends the whole time.
Yeah,
12
he's been
years.
awesome.
This is the
Probably gonna be
definition of
their
12
set.
personnel.
Yeah.
So they're
But-
both on the field.
But yeah, for me, it's Ravens this week. I don't know. It's I don't know. I just feel like the Bills are going to lose their next two games. They just kind of go up and down as the season goes. But I think they're going to get really hot and they're going to be a favorite come playoff time.
I hear you. Well, you know what? I'm also feeling you. I got Ravens too.
Well,
Yeah, buddy.
Talk
Yeah,
about that later.
I'm thinking Lamar. I think the mojo back is with the Ravens right now. Going into Dallas, and then there was a video of them on the airplane, and Lamar is not having any of this. He goes, "This is not for fun anymore. This is business trip." So I think they're gonna be
different
I mean,
mindset this week. Heading
I
into
think
against the Bills.
that, I think that once they lost to the Raiders,
yeah.
it was the wake up call for them, and they went to Dallas and just crushed them in the first half. And so home game, I feel like the Ravens and like you're saying, Lamar's gonna be tough to handle, and I can see Andrews. Well, I don't mean either way. I think it's just gonna be a big game for them, and I think defensively they have enough talent to give Josh Allen some fits. So I'm going Ravens.
Interesting. We got a split on that one. Going into our final game this week, Seattle traveling to Detroit. Seattle a surprise 3-0 at that.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. We have all the undefeated teams almost.
Yeah,
been
yeah,
picking
pretty
here.
much. Detroit 2-1 at home. Let's start with
Yeah,
a
all five of
non-NFC.
them.
No, we already got two. Let's start with Rob. Rob, we got Seattle and Detroit.
I'm going Detroit on this one. I think that they're going to establish the run and give Geno some fits. They defensively, Hutch I think is going to bother Smith most of the day. So, and with Walker still out up there, I think in
think you're right.
Seattle.
I hope not, man. Another guy on the fantasy team.
Charbonnet's
been crushing
Yeah,
it.
I don't,
Charbonnet's
I don't know if Walker comes back
questionable.
and gets first team reps.
true, but against that defense of Detroit, and well, I don't know if I fully trust the Hawks 3-0 start right now as a
It's
official.
wild.
So
But we got a lot of wild going on right
I know,
now.
but Detroit, still top few, top 3 team in the NFC. I still, I believe still. So
Ooh. Okay.
yeah, I still have them going to the NFC Championship game. So I think they're pulling off a dub here.
Pulling off a dub for Rob. All right. Mike, why don't we just go down the line? Mike, what you got? Seattle and Detroit.
Yeah, I picked up Zach Charbonnet. He's been crushing it the last couple of weeks. I think they are going to try to establish the run against this Detroit defense. Geno Smith's been a top 5 quarterback by EPA this year, and so I think their offense is just going to set the tone for the game. Defense will come up with a turnover, and I'd consider it an upset, even though Seattle's 3-0. I think Seattle upsets the Lions.
Yeah, what is the line on it?
The Lions by 4.5. I'm pretty
So it
sure.
would be an upset. Yep.
Yep. Tyler, who we got?
I got Detroit as well. I think the home team wins this game. I'm not sold on either team. Seattle, I think Seattle's a huge fraud, to be 100% honest with you. I'm not sold on them
Hard
at all.
take. Get to go.
I mean, they beat the Broncos, the Patriots, and the very banged up Dolphins without the starting quarterback, right? That's not a 3-0 that encourages me. They beat the Broncos by 6, the Patriots by 3. They want the Dolphins, but again, you're going against Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
So I think the Lions, I'm not sold on the Lions this year. Their offense hasn't looked like what
Not
I
either.
expected it to be after last year, and then you incorporate Gibbs more into that. Defense has made some steps, but I'm not sold on the Lions, and I think this comes down to the home team and the home field advantage, to be honest with you. So I got the Lions winning this one, I think it's going to be a close game.
The roar's been restored.
Roar's been restored. I agree with you. I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to be an absolute beast, especially in front of the home crowd. I mean, he's just going to eat that up.
Yep.
But I'm very confident in my other picks, so I'm going to take a shot.
Ooh.
And Seattle keeps surprising and ends up 4-0 out of the primetime game. I think Geno's going to have himself a game. Now watch, he'll go 10 for 20 for like 100 yards and 2 picks, but
and then still win the game.
And still win the game. And still win the game.
As long as they're all the DK, I'm good with it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Even though Seattle's 3-0, even Detroit is probably viewing them as an underdog, and I feel like Detroit's pretty confident coming into this game right now as far as who they got to face. I don't know. Some seems off there for Detroit to me. I am also not sold on Detroit this season as a whole. I do think they're a better team than Seattle, but I think Seattle just squeaks another one out. I do think it's going to be close.
Just
but
a fluky, like
Rams
versus 49ers
a little fluky
last
win.
week
I don't
style.
think it'll be that crazy.
Yeah.
But another little fluky win. Yep. But yeah, crazy. That wraps up our week 4 game slate. Mike, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. You here next week?
If I'm still invited.
Yeah.
Well, to be seen. No,
Who did he pick? The Packers or the Vikings?
Yeah, he picked the Packers. He's out of here.
TBD. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But
Picked the Packers, made a comment about the Vikings. We'll see if I.
yeah, you're gonna hear that comment in your nightmares.
I like
Anyway,
it.
no, seriously, thanks for joining us. It was great to
Absolutely.
get another team, another perspective of a different team, whatever I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Of other than just the Vikes, the Pack. We're gonna have a Broncos fan on later this season. We got a lot of things lined up, but I really appreciate you being here this week and next week. It's
Next
okay.
week,
You
yeah.
can come next week. We've decided.
All right.
collectively.
Vikings Colts is November 1st, 2nd, whatever that's.
We might have to have you on for that. All right.
Yeah.
Good. I don't think you'll have anything good to say by then.
Yeah. You guys need to win some games to
It
make
could-
sure it might even not make the list.
Boy, we're talking like we are going to the Super Bowl out here, and we need to be
Do you guys
careful.
do you guys know what that's like?
Whoa!
Going to the
again,
Super Bowl? Yeah.
another zinger. Yeah, going to the Super Bowl. We know all about that.
I mean, it's been in Minneapolis twice. I was downstairs, all walking around the stadium.
Oh man! And then of course, thanks for joining us this week, Tyler. I'm super happy we got to have you on. Another Packer fan, 2 weeks in a row, giving us that perspective from the team on the other side of the border there. But
It was good to be back. It was good to be back.
Yeah, we got to have you back more.
Yeah.
We'll work on
You
it.
feel natural behind the mic again. We got to have you back. But
You Banter with the boys, give me some daycare. You got a deal.
sounds good. We need your sponsorships. We need to get Tyler
Yes.
Daycare so we can be on Banter with the Boys. But anyway, of course, like always, like, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to the Banter, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you for week 5.
Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Tune in next time for more Banter with the Boys.